back in line.
Super stoked to have this thing in the garage. I'm going to get the brakes pulled off of it here, or at least the front calipers, and inspect the bottom side of this thing really good. So super pumped to have it in the garage, and we're going to find out if this thing is really as good as I think it is. Going under the bottom side of the RX-7 here, got it up on the lift. I did change out the fuel tank on the ground. Wish that I had the lift when I did that, but from what I could see while I was under the car, it wasn't too bad. Lots of scale, a couple spots that I want to address pretty much right away. Not any real rot, but definitely need to address those. Probably pull off any and all brackets on the bottom side that I can. Clean everything. Just kind of refresh, get everything a good coat of paint. Pull the heat shields down. And probably gonna run just a single exhaust, so I kept the heat shield on this side. When I pulled the mufflers that were about half rusted off, I pulled the heat shield off this side. The one in front of the tank, I don't know if I'll keep that and maybe make a bracket to support this corner of it, but so far I've noticed on the brakes that this driver's side rear wheel is pretty hung up, and you can tell when you drive it, it acts like it has a hung up brake. I don't know if it's because it sat so long with the parking brake engaged. I'll have to pull everything apart and take a look. And if you notice, the one side has the like a dealership installed the RX-7 mud flaps. I do have the full set. I have the other two. I'll probably be pulling these off the car. I don't know if I will reuse them or not, because as you can see up here on the front, it kind of retains moisture. I don't think that the fender is rusted through, but it's definitely extremely pitted. I don't know if I'll be able to save that or not. This fender, and then on the passenger side I was looking the same thing. This one, I don't know necessarily if it's rusted through or if it was ripped, something hit it, I don't know. But have to get those off and wire wheel or sandblast the bottoms of the fenders at least, and kind of go over everything. There was one spot right here. It is kind of soft, but literally a teeny tiny patch. Probably cut it out and have it fixed in, a matter of an hour or so when I actually go to get this thing repainted. But kind of go under here. I did notice, I don't know if somebody had gotten this car stuck at one point in time. If it's kind of scary, kind of sketches me out, for the simple fact that frame racks, they actually hook on to the frame rails when they need to pull the car, like if it was in an accident and they need to hook it to a frame rack and pull on it to straighten it out. Sometimes you'll see that. I'm hoping that's not the case. I haven't seen any signs of damage as if it's been wrecked. The front end, I don't know, the headlights don't quite line up real great, but I don't know if it's just a fact of just sitting so long and the linkage is kind of bound up on it. Not too familiar. Haven't recognized anything that seems to be out of place. The entire front end of the car, all the plastic heat shields and inner fender liners, all of that, including this plastic belly pan, everything is there. So if it ever wasn't an accident, it was repaired very nicely and done professionally. I don't know. Maybe I'm just overthinking that and somebody used a tow hook, had the car stuck, or maybe they tried to strap it down to a trailer. But definitely want to fix that little spot. It's not anything, I mean, it's on like a unibody rail, but I don't think it's anything structural. But you know, kind of bend that back, weld it, clean it up. Along the pinch rail, just a little bit of scale pretty much the whole way. Not anything that's, you know, rotted out. Alright, there we go. I got light back on the camera. But these cars are pretty notorious for these back corners to just rot away on them. What you see is more scale, rust scale, than anything just starting. Nothing, no actual rot holes or rust holes. Looks like some factory sound deadening kind of peeling away. Has some rust starting under it, but I would definitely like to go over everything, get on top of it. I don't plan on driving the car in the winter. I already got my life threatened by Matt if I ever did drive it in the winter, so. But I think just a good cleanup, hit all the rust with, you know, like a wire wheel. Then POR 15, they offer like a rust converter or a rust primer that you, after you clean all your loose rust off, you wipe all that, you know, wipe it on, brush it on. It will actually convert the rust. Then you do the POR 15 treatment. A little bit on the frame rail there. I don't know, I think that hit it with a little D-scale wire wheel, treat everything, get on top of it, and I don't think I'll have an issue cleaning the underside of this thing up whatsoever. Passenger side drip rail, or pinch weld. It's bent in a couple spots. I'll try and straighten that out. It's not a huge ordeal or not. It's more just aesthetic, if anything, to me. Plan to get the front calipers off. I do have the rebuild kits. Take them to work and sandblast them and get them torn down. That way I can get the new pistons and seal, or not new pistons, but new seals and boots and everything in them. This thing sat for a long time. There was mouse houses in the air box. I want to take the shop vac and vacuum all this out, drop this belly pan, clean that all out because I haven't got a chance to. There was a bunch that I got to from the top side, but I couldn't quite get to everything, so I just did what I could. Looks like I'll have an oil pan gasket, or hopefully not a rear main seal, because that's your access cover up into the clutch area where the rear main seal is. But do an oil pan gasket, kind of go over everything. The thing runs amazing, aside from a couple self-induced vacuum leaks that I know I have. Just open ports from where I put it back together to check and see if it was gonna run. Kind of see the new fresh wire there. This is the starter that came on the car, but I bought a new brush kit. It goes in this end piece here. Pulled it all apart, re-greased it, cleaned the bearings out, or bushings per se. Put the new spring-loaded brushes in it, and it's been working perfect ever since. So I figured eventually I'll probably need a new starter, but it'll get me by for now. Did replace the fuel filter when I changed out the tank. I pulled the fuel rails off, cleaned those out. It did have quite a bit of varnish in the fuel rails themselves too, but I do plan to get rid of this entire exhaust. I'm gonna start from scratch and build my own exhaust for it. And I do apologize about the bright light coming from the garage door. I'm gonna try and remedy that for when I'm standing more towards the front of the car, or maybe I'll just try and stand back here when I do my, like, the intro videos, or when I'm talking, just because it is hot in the garage, and without that door open it doesn't move any air at all. So there's a huge Luckily it's not active, but big old wasp nest. Knock that out, go down everything. And the brake pedal, I don't think I had a pedal at all. I can't tell. The rear diff seal was definitely, the pinion seal was definitely leaking. That's what all this is from. And it's kind of gathered, or what I'm guessing, it's gathered on that brake lines there. So I'm hoping that it's not the brake lines rusted out, but it doesn't look like they are. They look in pretty decent shape, you know, all the way down the frame rail, even for how long it sat. I mean, they're all in really good shape. Going up, nothing's really rusty or anything in the means of brake lines. As far as I know, the car sat inside a lot the past 3 to 4 years, maybe 5 years. It sat outside in one spot in the guy's yard. So I think that's probably where it masked all of its filth and animals trying to make their homes in it. But overall though, I mean, this thing is super solid, especially compared to some that I've seen. Yeah, there's that kind of worse spot, but even underneath the paint it looks like it's still solid. I was thinking I saw a hole. Oh yeah, there's just a little teeny tiny hole, and you can see compared to the size of my finger. We're gonna make it worse, but it'll need addressed anyway, so may as well, when I pull the fender off, just cut out all the bad metal and do a little patch panel. That is probably the worst spot that I've seen for rust on the car. Again, go down the pinch weld. They're really, and this is the first time that I'm really inspecting it this close on the bottom side too myself, so normally they're known to be rotted out. At least I've had one that was rotted out on both sides. Looks extremely solid. No rot holes or anything. Big thing where this is where you're, not on this particular car, but like your sport models, they had like a little, I don't know, like an arrow. It was like that molded rubber stuff, like what these are. See how it's squishy? It's like a molded rubber. It would have had like a little, I don't know, maybe I'll try and find a picture of it. Kind of like a little arrow thing. They were more common on the sports, but that would have been on those. It looks like they just used plugs on the Turbo 2s. I never was, well, I can't say it's just been so long since I had my other Turbo 2, but I'm not familiar with on the bottom side of them as of recent, so I'm just kind of getting re-familiar with these cars. Not that I ever forgot how to work on it, because I had changed my transmission in my first Turbo 2 quite a few times. Changed the engine once, put a JDM engine in it. In the meantime, after I didn't own the Turbo 2, my first Turbo 2, I had quite a few different GXLs. One, I believe the transmission was stuck in first or second gear. Bought a parts car, changed the interior, the complete interior on that one, changed out the trans. So it's just been a while, but I've got quite a bit of experience. It's just been years and years. I'll definitely be ready to get the catalytic converters off this thing, open it up and let it breathe. I'm going old school for now, using the fuel cut defender. That way it'll let it actually run out and let it build boost more than 8 psi. lawn clippings from sitting in the guy's yard. Still has the AC fan, it looks like, horns. It's really important to me that it has all of this because I can actually go through and just clean all these lines up, clean all this plastic up, refresh everything, and kind of, I guess the plans right now are to focus on getting it running and driving correctly, being more reliable, than slowly clean up the bottom side and do the paint and body work on it. So super pumped. I already did conquered a huge feat getting the thing running. I did change out the tank, even though can't really tell, it was dirty from sitting at the guy's place, but and me moving it around on the ground when I was putting it in. Just do little things like pull the brackets and stuff off, sandblast them and repaint them. It's not that it really would affect anything, just make it nice and clean. Pull these off. I don't know, I'm still kind of on the fence. I don't know whether I want to use them or not. Clean up under there. Some rust in there, I noticed. Super pumped though. The interior in this thing is actually really nice. It's just dirty, but pop the hatch and pop the hood. Pretty neat. Anytime the hood is popped or the hatch is popped, I want to say the door possibly even, it will flash that security light. Spoiler's not mounted yet, it's just kind of sitting on here. I do have a replacement dash. It's one that I've had for years and years out of a parts car. The back half of the interior here is still kind of partially torn apart from when I changed out the fuel pump and was having the issues. But I figure I'm going to be tearing most of the interior out anyways to go over it and clean it. I'm going to have to pull out the B-pillars and the headliner and everything to change out the sunroof. But just needs a really good cleaning. Didn't want to put the dash inside of it, but I'm kind of limited on space anyways, so just kind of been holding it in there for the time being. And this, before I parked the car, I had cleaned out. That's from this spring, and need to clean it out again. Prefer to not have the thing sit outside, but until I get all these different projects finished up. But this spoiler here, as you can tell, sticks out like a sore thumb, but I am extremely happy that I found one. I had the same exact spoiler that came on my black Turbo 2, and it is extremely rare. I'm sure I sound like a broken record, but it's rare enough that I'm gonna consider trying how to reproduce this thing and maybe even try and find out how to make it out of carbon fiber. I just love these spoilers so much. Just flows with the body line, especially then once you actually get it painted. It's like the blend between the Mazda Finish Line spoiler, an RE spoiler, and like I'm pretty sure it came out before the 88, 89 spoilers, or any of the GXL or Turbo 2 spoilers of the later years. Pretty sure that it would have came out before that, but it's kind of like a blend of all three of those together. And you just don't see them. Like I explained before, I've only ever seen 5 of these, and out of the 5, I've owned 2 now. I do still know where the black one is. The guy that now owns my old black Turbo 2, I believe he actually took it off the car as well, and the black Turbo 2 actually had a glass sunroof as well. So I'm on the hunt for one, kind of not really replacing my old black car, but definitely taking the cues on the extremely rare spoiler. Probably going to do a very similar exhaust. Keep these wheels on it for now. Try and find a glass sunroof. Repaint it the sapphire blue because it's an extremely rare color from what I've found for a Turbo 2. There's hardly any of them on the internet. I'm trying to find out how many they actually produced in a Turbo 2 in the sapphire blue. It seems like it was a lot more common on the GXLs, but it is kind of an oddball in the VIN number area, which I actually talked about that in a video that Matt is supposed to be sending me, but and it does have the heavier steel Turbo 2 hood, which I may keep it. I may opt to change it out to the aluminum. I'm not too sure yet. This one does have the power steering. My black car didn't. I'll probably keep it around for now just because it was part of the factory, factory options on the car. The air pump, I don't know. I'll probably keep it around, but I'll just remove it for now. Get rid of a lot of the old unnecessary emissions control stuff from back in the day. I'll keep it around, the stock air box and everything, but I plan to do some upgrades. Nothing out of hand, just cold air intakes. Like, I don't know, they have an adapter plate that bolts right to the factory airflow meter. I may try and use that. I may try and make something. The cold weather start, I don't know. I don't even know if mine worked on my other car, but I may try and keep it on there just for the simple fact of trying to keep it somewhat original. Probably just keep the stock top mount. I don't know if I really want to get too out of hand with it right now. I just want to enjoy it as a driver. And then once it's cleaned up, repainted, everything refreshed, then I may, look into doing more serious modifications. I think a lot of it will depend on where the market for these cars go as well, because I would hate to, as stock and unmolested that this car is, I would hate to destroy it and, kind of devalue it. You can see the paint is just totally, it is roached. And this is cheap old paint, and it's at one point in time has been repainted, so that kind of goes back to my theory of wondering if it was ever in an accident or not. It is what it is. Some cars, along their life, it happens. A lot of years go by, and it's a lot of time for things to happen, so can't quite tell. It may have a little bit of Bondo in the quarter. It doesn't have any real serious waves that I've noticed, but I've yet to really have this car inside the garage. This is the first time I've actually had it in the garage, so it's hard to say. It doesn't really look like it's had any serious body work or any kind of mud. I know these things had serious paint fade issues from the factory, so it may just be the simple fact that the paint did the exact same thing, 10, 15, probably not even 15 years, probably 10 years or so after it was new and somebody just had a cheap respray done on it. Sitting outside really takes a toll on vehicles. I do have plans on very soon getting these new felt strips. The upper ones are, I think I'll be able to get away with those. Those are still pretty nice. The windshield, I think you could either peel this stuff off and respray them, or they are offered, still new from Mazda. Same way with the rear window seal. This one actually still has the little cap on it, but they'll kind of split and pull apart as they shrink over time. And once you pull your rubber seal to actually repaint this correctly, to kind of get down in between the glass and the hatch, it'll kind of, this stuff's so brittle it'll probably break, or you never get it back down in that groove because it's so hard. But definitely onto the brakes, change out the dash. Kind of see how split it is there. Change out the windshield. It's got a pretty decent crack across it. Really lots and lots of cosmetics. Give it a good power washing and cleaning under the hood and try and bring it back to life. Maybe pull the brackets off, a couple at a time, take them and sandblast them, and repaint them and get them looking clean again. Slowly bring it back to life. The biggest thing is it runs, so keep her going, refresh, maybe swap out the fluids and just go over everything and get it ready to head back onto the road. Yeah, stuck a little bit, not too too bad though. I'll be really curious to see if these wheels are rough. Oh, I'm really reminiscing right now. It's probably been, let me think, last time I had my other Turbo 2. It's been about 11 years since I've had the pleasure and the joy of upon first glance here, getting the wheels off, you can see the pretty high tech for the day. 4 piston calipers on the front. Not too bad though. Now this wasn't specific to the turbo model. Any 5-lug RX-7 will have this same caliper setup. I believe it is the same on the rear as well. But the factory Mazda embossed into it. One quick little thing here that if you may not know,
first time.
The
doesn't look like they had a whole
direction
lot on them.
of the swirls
pretty far
on the wheels, they are side specific.
The rotors themselves
this one
don't look
was
too
on the
bad. I may
passenger
actually
side.
be able
This
to
one was on the driver's side.
sandblast those.
I am not too sure, to be honest, which
paint
direction
the
they're
hats
supposed
and
to
paint the
go.
outside, and then give them a
I
turn on the
believe they
brake
work
blade
correct.
that work.
I think that they are supposed to go, you know, rotate this direction. And this one would rotate that
Pretty
direction,
neat
being on the other side of the car.
80s.
I'll have to
sports
look
car
up and double check,
technology.
but I do believe they are on the
Not
right
that
side.
4-piston
The correct
calipers
sides.
weren't around then. Just
So
pretty neat that
thought that was
Mazda
just a cool
put
bit of
them on one of their
information about
production cars.
these Turbo 2s and a little bit of their.
Go around to the other side.
One thing that I did notice as well on the other side here, the strut, kind of see a little clean spot right there. There's a groove going all the way around the inside of the tire. I don't know if this is, it looks like an aftermarket strut assembly. Try and read made in Japan. I'm not too sure. It does say though. Real faintly, made in Japan. I'd be curious to see if these are replacements or if they're OEM, because it is fairly low miles. This rotor looks the same. Looks like about the same for wear on the pads. Go through and check the wheel bearings too while we pull the rotor will come separate from the hub, but I believe Mazda did only specifically sell the whole entire hub assembly, lugs, the part that the actual rotor bolts to, and then this was all one assembly that you changed. But one of the companies, I forget who, either Atkins or Mazda Tricks, they have the part numbers to replace the wheel bearings, so they do offer the bearings separate versus the entire hub, like Mazda will specifically sell you just the hub only. too crazy messy. I'll get some drip pans here to catch brake fluid. It's one thing that is nice about these calipers though. The fact that
crack these.
this one line
line's loose here,
and then 2 caliper bolts and the caliper's off.
Fumble with the camera.
I may have to shimmy with it a little bit
like
to
a first-person
get
camera,
it past the lip on the rotor.
a head camera or something. That broke loose pretty easily, actually.
I did spray them down with PB. That's why they're wet. They're not leaking or anything. I'm really surprised that one came loose. See how that moves up and down on that line.
I really do need
a lot of times that nut will seize the line and it will actually twist the line off, and then you're stuck.
Just goes to show you that
even though it's just a little line from
don't have
there
any-
to there,
any
you're
kind
stuck rebuilding one, or
fancy
you know,
tools and equipment.
trying to source one if you don't know how or want to flare a new one. I don't have an electric impact, or at least I don't have a big electric impact. Should rephrase that, because I do have a little bitty, like an impact driver
over there, and then once we loosen the caliper itself, it ought to come right off the line. Try and find another drip tray here. Just put it right into the little bucket. Let it drip. That'll work.
I'm sure in southern states or out west, this is pretty common. You don't have to worry about stuff rusting together, but this is, unless it's under 10 years old around here, that's pretty almost unheard of. That stayed that free, so. Well, so far this line isn't dripping any, where the other one is going crazy and it's almost a steady stream. So I don't know if we got something, maybe a restriction in the line, or I'm not sure. We'll see. Draining a little now.
Try and find another drip tray here. Sorry if it's weird that I'm missing what I'm grabbing for. I'm trying to lock it in the screen. And it's still just a little bit tight by hand. Trying to make sure that it doesn't come loose and fall off on the floor. There, it came loose. One-handed, left-handed. I am right-hand dominant. All right, I did go ahead and break these loose. Wasn't too sure how
Bunch of grass
pain they were going to be, but
cobwebs and
driver's side was definitely a lot
be curious to see how these
crunchier and
movements are all
crispier sounding
sandblasted.
when I was breaking them loose, but
And it is.
sorry about the video angles. I'm still kind of working around, getting used to moving the camera. I really should get like a first-person view
Side for
camera,
side.
maybe something that's
The bleeder
like
is,
you know, that I can strap on my head and
so
kind of give you guys a first-person view when I'm
easy way
working
to
on
tell
stuff.
which is which.
All in due time.
There they are, easy as that.
Pretty tight. I'll make sure to go through and wire wheel the bolts and get a good coat of never sees. A little now.
A little bit of a stream coming out of it. Now will be the interesting part to see how easily it comes off of this. Oh, not too bad at all. There's caliper number 1. Easy as that. Wanted to go over a quick little video here.
Grab number 2.
Atkins rotary. I really need to get my workbench and give a big
Moved
shout out
over.
to them. They didn't sponsor the video or anything.
Better shots of working on stuff, and
that is
especially the BMW differential. I'd like to do
do
some
calipers on the RX-7.
better.
Showed up
As we're
extremely
going.
fast, all the way from Washington, and I'm in Ohio. They've been in the business for longer than I've been alive, so that right there shows a true testament to, you know, a very committed company. So figured give them a little shout out. Their stuff's going into the car to help bring it back to life. I'll probably have a lot more purchases through them, so those are the guys that are most likely going to help finish this thing up.